Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. We are the Virtual Cantina's Jedi Archives Bad Batch After Show. My name's John.
I'm Commodore Delicard.
I thought it was General Delicard.
Not with this hat.
I'm
But
Bryce.
you can call me Mike.
And today we are reviewing Bad Batch episode
12
12.
The
yes.
Juggernaut.
The
of the
Juggernaut.
final season.
And I will say, when I saw the title Juggernaut, I instantly went to X-Men Final Stand, where Vinnie Jones played the Juggernaut and recited his lines from that movie. That's where my mind went with the title.
I don't know if
And
you
I
actually
went
know the
directly. I went directly to the dictionary
So if you actually,
just to get every nuance of Juggernaut.
Bryce brought this up, so I'm going to go down a little bit. There's actually that saying is super viral before that scene. I don't know if you've ever known that, because there was always like this dub of X-Men and a comedy dub, and the scene goes, he goes, and he would just say it all the time, I'm the Juggernaut. And say it all the time. And so when they did it in the show, it's kind of like homage to that. So if you just look it up, it's the funniest stuff ever.
Yeah.
I can't say it here, but it's great. I'm the Juggernaut. And he says it every time.
I was almost kind of ashamed that that's where my mind went first, versus like the X-Men 97 with, the animated Juggernaut that I absolutely fell in love with and still wish I had my big old figure of.
We're gonna start doing the after show for the 97 next week, right? It's good. It's really good.
Can we?
We'll discuss that afterwards.
Dude, that's like squirrel. All right. Let's try to recenter here, because
Major squirrel. Major squirrel.
97, but
I like it. I've been watching. Yeah.
Maybe
that's
we
my
can do some
jam.
recaps.
That's my jam too. All right.
All right, let's focus. All right, episode 12, the Juggernaut.
Getting back to Star Wars here. So the definition of Juggernaut is a huge, powerful, and overwhelming force or institution. And in this particular episode, the Juggernaut is also the name of the vehicle. So 3 things right there.
Disney can sue itself.
So it starts out with Omega arriving on Tantus, because in the previous episode, she turned herself in. And she's delivered to Hemlock, and they're pretty rude to her, shoving her around. And he takes her directly to Emery to be tested again, just to confirm the results that she had initially mentioned to him about her blood having the binding force for the M counts. So she tells Emery that she doesn't have to do this, right? Because she's like, Omega at this episode seems to me like she's on a mission. Right, because if you recall, she's always been bothered about having left all the clones there, all her brothers and sisters, and so she's very resolved to not be captured, but to do something here. So she's up to
I think it was stemming all the way back to like season 1, when like all Camino and everything, like she was deeply saddened by what happened back then. But what threw me off, going to right based on your notes, is when Hemlock took Omega back to Emery. Emery didn't hesitate to then test her, but at the same time, she had that look on her face, is like, is this the right thing to do? But she still did it without question. So that threw me off a little bit.
Well, she says she doesn't have a choice, because I don't have a choice. And she really, she doesn't. Omega's looking at this almost like a child's point of view. Emery doesn't have a choice. You think she's there? It's like a volunteer thing. You think she goes, you're not going to do this. You think they're just going to be okay with that? No, she doesn't have a choice either.
Yeah, she'll be fired. She'll be imprisoned.
Well, like but that
fire you there.
Nala Say's in prison.
Yeah.
Well,
she doesn't have a choice. So
yeah, but what is interesting about that though? It's interesting because when she tells Emery that she doesn't have to do this, and then Emery says, I have to have no choice. But then she tells her, but I am glad that you're safe. And then Omega's like, am I really? Because she knows something's up. And then at that point, did you see Emery's face? She was like, she's paused, and I think Emery knows that she's having to do this, but she doesn't want to do this.
Yeah.
Deep down, she doesn't want to, but she doesn't know what to do because she's not Omega. But Omega is a uh,
Yeah,
bad
it's
little MFO.
definitely an odd chemistry right now. It it was odd, in the first couple things as well, because obviously she takes away Lula, but then gives Lula back, and then she gives Lula to another kid, which I feel like that might be a a point of how Omega gets through to Emery is
Hmm.
using Lula, because she's like, I know you care. This is just me. Like, I know you care because you did this for me, and now you did this for him. And so I think that might be a way that she convinces Emery that what you're doing is not right.
Hmm. I think all those changes in Emery reflect the impact that Omega has had on her personally, because she wouldn't have been like this at the very beginning. So if you look at Emery from the very beginning, she had no feelings of like, oh, I'm going to take care of you, like no connection to Omega. And but I think that her interactions over the many months that Omega was there with her, working with her, she had an impact on her, just like Omega has had that impact on everyone she's come into contact with. She's
Yeah.
very
I,
empathic.
I think part of it too is she's definitely seeing more of what the real empire is. Probably when she first joined, it's probably more on the Camino. We're making clones, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And now that she's being more integrated in the empire and seeing the bigger plan, there's children involved against their will. And I'm sure
Hmm.
that could change. I mean, I'd sign up to be a scientist and do something, but then you kind of realize more and more like you're in too deep all of a sudden, and also you're seeing things against their will, children against their will. So that could even change you. It should change you, honestly. Anyone doing that
Right.
should be like, wait, what's going on?
Because
So
I
I
think that at the core, Emery's good at a good person at the core, and so if she sees, wait a minute, these are just children, because she even voiced that concern about them being children, and
yeah,
then Hemlock told her no, they're assets, or whatever he called them. He
I
didn't
don't
even
really
mention
know
them as humans.
the origins of Emery. Was she working with just Caminos? Was she working with Hemlock? So
I
all
don't think
that
she
stuff.
Well,
was on Camino, was she? I thought
she
she
was.
had always.
Oh, remember, she mentioned that she was discarded, and she was throwing shade to Nalase about how
Mhm.
she was discarded. So I think she
Right.
was originally one of the clones on the Camino, but then something didn't work out, and they just got rid of her because she wasn't going to be a trooper, and they didn't know where she fit in, so they just got rid of her, and then the Empire kind of took her up.
Yeah,
That's what
we'll
I
get
think.
in a
We don't
comic
have
or
her. Full,
something.
yeah, I hope
We
so.
need it though, because I'm a little fuzzy on that. Like, why do they have a female clone working for them already? So,
And I
well,
think it's more than one. I think it's more than one.
I would
You
like to
think
know
it's
that.
more than one?
You can see other females in the background in the episodes.
Yeah, but I guess it would be pure assumption, speculation that they're clones, but
Right. Well, I'm just saying I
it's. I
think there
guess
are more than one.
it's possible, but I
Mhm.
feel like Emery's like a just a non-combat version of Tech, right? Extremely smart, knows how to do things. You know,
But she's not part of Clone Force 99.
no.
Yeah.
That what I'm saying is like she's like a like a non-combat version of Tech, right? Got all the intellect and knowledge and scientific
Hmm.
everything like that. She just wasn't cloned to be a soldier. I
Hmm.
mean, you know,
Yep. And so then after this
Wait,
introduction, we
wait.
go back.
I
Okay.
have one note on this entire scene that I
You have
call BS.
notes, Jonathan? You have
I, I,
notes?
I call BS. I mean,
On
Emery
on
has
what?
been looking. I mean, Emery. I want to say Rampart. Hemlock has been looking across the entire galaxy using all his resources just to get Omega. He finally gets her and then drops her off at zone. He doesn't really trust that much. And no guards, no nothing, and says, give me some test results later. If that was me, I would be doing the test results myself, or I'd have two guards, commandos, standing right next to her the whole time. saying she doesn't go anywhere. It's just totally like, all right, he's walking through the facility with her, no stormtroopers. I was like, this is odd. She's escaped from here or someplace like this. She escaped from there, right? Yeah.
Well,
So
he
I'm just
did
like,
say
well,
he did say, Jonathan, when she said, "Where's Nala-Se?" He told her she's not going to be around to help you escape anymore because she was only able to escape because Nala-Se gave her the data pad.
but
If she
she's a
wasn't
flight
able to,
risk. She's a
yes,
flight
but
risk.
but there's no way to get out without the
I
data, without the keys.
and then I mean, maybe we're seeing it and maybe Hemlock's not seeing it, but we're seeing that. Okay, what's the lady we were talking about? Too many names. Was just having issues with doing these things, and he can kind of tell she's
Emery,
kind of Emery.
Emery. Mm.
He keeps saying, "Are you okay with this?" Stuff like that. So I'm just like, and then he leaves her completely unguarded up just with Emery. I would have sat right there and did that stuff myself. She's the most important thing to the entire operation. He just leaves her there. Goes bye. I would have been right there, arms crossed. Give me your blood. We're doing this right now.
Well, didn't you
Just
see when he got there, when
no.
they went in, there were guards posted at every way, and then there was also those beams that you can't get through. Those.
That's later. That's not what he's talking about right now.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
This is pre vault. But
That's right. That's right.
I guess my counterpoint to that, John, is I totally understand what you're saying, but Hemlock is a smug Imperial officer who thinks he's better than everybody else. This is not somebody who's going to like do that, right? He's not going to sit there and babysit because to him it's not.
It's
You're back.
It's
You
beneath
volunteered
him.
to, you volunteered to come back. Nobody's going to find you because no one knows how to get back to Tantus.
So far, the process looks like they stick the extractor in the wrist, then they stick it in the machine, and they hit go. Come on, man! Just it's like let me know later and just leave. And that drove me nuts when I saw that. I was like,
he just has more important things to do.
if she,
John.
no, she is the most important. If she escapes again, he's dead. His whole you cannot tell the Emperor. She escaped again.
Yeah,
You're done. You're done. So I don't know.
He probably won't have the opportunity to say that.
Yeah,
would be my thought.
So I just that whole thing kind of like I know it's made just so she can have a moment alone with her, but I just that was like, are you kidding me? Like already just leave her alone.
Well, yeah. I mean, we already foreshadowed like what's happening. When she takes the trip to the vault.
Yeah.
But going after this scene, it swipes over back to Pabu, and then we see that on Pabu, the destroyer is still docked above the island. But Hunter,
they're leaving.
Yeah, Hunter sees the gunner ships are going back, loading up to leave before he reunites with Wrecker and Crosshair. And then Crosshair reveals that there is someone he knows who might have the coordinates for Tantus. And his hand is shaking again, where it wasn't shaking previously, but now it is again a lot, very noticeably, which, it kind of confirms that his issues it might be psychosomatic because he's probably
for sure,
very afraid to go back to Tantus.
Yeah.
So who knows what they did to him there? He does not want to go back, but he knows that there's no other way around it.
But what I liked about going back what's the name of the planet again? Holy cow!
Babu? What was it called?
Is that what it is?
Pabu is where the island is.
Pabu. Thank you.
Pabu. Mm-hmm.
When they go back there, it picks up right basically where it kind of the last episode left off, right? Hunter hasn't rejoined with Wrecker or Crosshair, and I thought that was funny. It's like he opens the door, and then all of a sudden, Wrecker's the one that says, "I don't know why you let her give up," kind of thing. And what surprised me was that Hunter just was like, what? Like, and slam Crosshair against the wall. Like, he was like really calm about it. Like, that was like a little surprising for me because I thought he would have just went postal. So my view on that thing is I'm the opposite of what John was with Hemlock. I thought for sure, but at least he's admitting like I was withholding information, and I do understand. I I have some information that's going to be useful. Like he's trying to work through his fears, which that's the Jedi way.
Yeah, but I guess I didn't think of that because maybe it's because I don't have kids, so it's not thinking like the same way. But like, yeah, that's kind of like this guy just let your kid go away and didn't put up much of a fight or whatever, but just let her go. I probably would be thinking about it now, but like, what? Flipped out on him and got nuts. So it's interesting that I didn't think of that.
Well, he did explain though that he didn't just let her go. It was the only way to save Pabu from being destroyed because they would have bombed the whole.
Yeah, and I thought that was really well, but
they would have bombed it. They would have rousted.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Not bombed. They would have went through each house and burnt it to the ground.
Right, destroyed. Okay, whatever you want to say it, but it would have been destroyed.
It was a huge fault forward for Crosshair's character, right? That he's not just thinking about himself or obviously the Bad Batch immediately. He's looking at these people like, man, we shouldn't be the ones bringing death and destruction to this place. So that I thought was a huge character development moment and a huge forward. But I am still shocked on how even Keel Hunter was at that point because we've always known he's been the father figure throughout this whole process with Omega. So it did shock me a little bit that the reaction there wasn't as much as I thought it was going to be.
Maybe the only thing I could think of is that he was exhausted because he just fell out of a ship and swam, then ran up that crazy, ridiculous town hill. And he just didn't care anymore. Like, okay, where are we at?
He's gone. Yeah, lucky for Crosshair, he was exhausted. Yeah. So then Crosshair does reveal that the person who might have the coordinates is Admiral Rampart. And if you recall, Rampart was the one who sent Nalase to Tantus when Tipoca City was decommissioned. And so Crosshair never mentioned anything because he doesn't want to go back. That's the last place he wants to go. He doesn't want to go to Tantus.
Yep.
And just the mere mention of it sends his hand into overdrive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which means we're doing some wicked experiments on him.
Or torture, who knows? Or
further.
Or he's a clone. He's a clone.
I don't think
he's a poor version. He's deteriorating, and that's what.
No, I think he's the real Crosshair.
He's the clone of Crosshair.
What I think is in that suit is a souped-up Crosshair infused with Tech's DNA. Not only is this guy a sharpshooter to the 10th degree, this guy knows how to hack everything. When's the last time you saw Crosshair hack something?
That's a good point. Yeah, he's a clone.
No, he has done it.
One character,
but he's also said when he's forced to hack that he's not Tech. So he mentioned that a couple of times too. He's like, "I'm not Tech."
So I think
he's trying his best. Yeah,
Tech snippets are going to be the realization that Tech, is not alive, but Tech's body is sitting in like a like a Bacta tank or something where we're using his
pulling his genomes.
Yeah, exactly. That his DNA is what's
splicing it with crosshairs. So
a little bit of Hunter in there.
Well, one thing I've learned is not to doubt Kiaro. So
I know when we get to the end, I know exactly the plan with Omega, but that's towards the end. I know exactly.
I think we all know it. It's going to be to build.
No, I think some people kind of
create Snoke.
Yeah, but how they're going to do it? Step by step, exactly what they need. I know exactly what it is.
You think this is creating Snoke?
Well, yeah, because Snoke is a clone. He's a force-sensitive clone.
It's not made to. Snoke is what you call it, the alpha test, beta test.
I don't.
Yeah, he's not the actual goal. It's still the Emperor Palpatine. But
I mean, Snoke doesn't even come. Snoke doesn't even talk to Kylo Ren until Kylo Ren's 15, 16 years old, right?
But I think ultimately they wouldn't have been able to do that without this binder for the M count. So ultimately, the long haul is they want to get this M count clone created.
Are we talking about this now?
Can transfer. Well, it came up. So Palpatine can transfer his essence to a clone, one of his clones.
So, what do you think their plan is to do exactly?
I think Palpatine wants to create a clone of himself where he can transfer his essence so he would be immortalized
So, what do you think they're doing
forever.
with Omega's blood?
Trying to get a stable clone of an high M count uh, subject to make sure it works so that ultimately they can use it to clone Palpatine's genes to create Palpatine clones, and he'll keep transferring himself.
So, you
Because
think they're going to make a clone of Palpatine and inject it with Omega's blood, or
the binder, because remember, okay, in the EU, every time that they did clone the Force sensitives, they would degrade and go mad. That's why, like, Jorah Sabaoth went crazy, and he didn't even know he was a clone, but he was insane because Force sensitives could not be cloned. They degraded. They went mad. So Palpatine doesn't want a mad clone of himself to transfer his essence into. He wants one that's stable like himself. And in the EU, there were multiple clones in Tantus of the Emperor. Because remember,
Mm-hmm.
he destroyed them all. And then even Thrawn created clones of himself in Tantus when he came back and took over after the Emperor was gone. So I think yes, I think the whole point is to get Omega's binder to create clones of the Emperor, multiple clones, so he can keep transferring himself to a new one. And
so
that
what? Why are they only testing clones? This is the big key right here.
what
They're not testing random people. Why can't they use random people's blood as binders or whatever? They're only testing clones.
because they think that on Camino when he sent them to build the clones for the army, he also had a secret plan to find a way to be able to clone high M count individuals. So
So
they were making on special clones, which is Omega, to have that binder.
so they
Make
want
it possible.
this is exactly what they're trying to do. They want to figure out how Omega was made. So when they remake Emperor Palpatine, they want to make the same process Omega was made. So his body will have the binders in it. So then they can add either his original blood or other M count bloods to his blood, his new clone body's blood. It's not they're going to take Omega's blood and put it into anything like that. They want to know how she was made. So when they reclone them, this is why it's clones only. When they reclone them, it's the same exact process. So his new bodies have this binding property. That's what they need to
But
figure out. And
I
that's
think they
why they
need
have her.
I think they need
So
to
they're gonna
destroy Omega to clone him. I don't think they can clone Emperor Palpatine so that he'll have those binders. I think that Omega was created specifically so that her clone would have the binding property for M
well,
count.
it's a test. Yeah, to figure out because we at the very end, it's a clone of his body. I mean, I've heard several times there's a bunch of his bodies that are failing. So that's what they're trying to figure out how to do. Make his body with the binder that's stable, then they can just add the M count later. Because she's stable. She's not deteriorating or nothing like that. And so that's what they want. Because he doesn't want to be the Emperor Palpatine doesn't want to be in her body when he does his force transfer.
Actually, he doesn't
yeah,
care
yeah,
because it'll
yeah.
be his
So
essence.
he wants to be in his body, so I'm assuming. I mean, I would want to be in it, my own
Because in
body.
the EU, the clones didn't look like him; they looked different.
Well, that's kind of where it happens, obviously, with uh, Snoke and all that stuff. But
Mhm.
it's just something that happens with the process. But I think that's they want to figure out how they made Omega, and that's why you see so many more test tubes of Snoke and all that. Instead of just adding her blood to other people, it's figure out how they made her and then replicate that process. And so it wouldn't actually be her anymore. It would be whatever clone they wanted, ever with a sample host they wanted with those
Mhm.
properties. But that's, I think, exactly what's going to happen. Well, what they want to do. But we know they never really get it down. And I think that's kind of why they want Baby Yoda. Because Baby Yoda, from everything I heard, remember we said he could possibly be a clone of something, but they actually successfully added M count to him. I think that's why Baby Yoda's more important than you could possibly imagine. He's a clone that has the force that's working. That's why they want him for whatever that dude wants him.
But
He
how would
was-
that
oh,
clone
he
be?
was
He was
only-
at the Jedi Temple.
Huh?
He was at the Jedi Temple, though. How could
But
he be? A
he's
clone?
called a strand cast, right? Queel calls him a strand cast. That's a strand cast. He just looks at him and
No.
tells he's a clone.
No, he doesn't say that.
Yeah, he does. Season 1, he goes, "Oh, that's a strand cast."
He said that about Baby Yoda.
Baby Yoda, yes.
Can we call him Grogu, please?
No.
No,
My own 6-year-old daughter has stopped calling him Baby Yoda and calls him
No.
Grogu.
we're not that mature yet.
And actually, matter of fact, she
What?
says Din Grogu.
Din Grogu.
Yeah,
But I
his
think
new
that's also
name.
why they want him. So I know. Getting
I
deep
don't
into
know.
it,
This
We'll
but-
have
the-
to check that. We'll see.
Because why don't
Well,
they just take
let's
any
continue-
four sets?
let's
the first
continue
two?
with
They
episode
have
12.
To have Baby
Ugh.
Yoda.
Man, the rabbit hole.
So then, they're in there talking, and all of a sudden, Thatcher starts barking and growling because something's coming up, the secret entrance. And
Yep.
then it's Fee. She's gotten in
Mhm.
there. And then she had never met Crosshair before. So she goes, "Oh." She goes, "Any friend of Brown Eyes is a friend of mine," because
Right.
she's heard of him. And she's going to help him get out. They're like, "How'd you get in here?" She's like, "Oh, the secret cave that's underneath the island, the same one that Asajj Ventress used." So it's good to know that everybody knows about the secret cave. So she got in, and she's going to help them get to Rampart because he wants
Right.
help to find him.
Does anybody else find V's ship a little crazy?
Yeah, it's like a fish that you've eaten off all the meat. It's just the bones.
Well, yeah, there's that. But it's like, let's look at the back of the ship. It is exactly a Imperial shuttle. It's exactly what it is. Infused into another
Oh
ship.
yeah, I thought when watching it go away, like that looks exactly like Imperial shuttle. Yeah.
'Cause-
Yeah.
yeah, it does. That's cool though.
Was that Lamba, right? Lamba class shuttle?
Lambda. No,
Lambda,
Lambda's the
thank
one
you.
that Lambda's the one that has the 3.
Yeah, that's what this had.
Lambda class shuttle.
Yeah, it's exactly what the back of V's ship is. It's uncanny. And not the ones with the big troop carrier things that we see in Rebels and we see in Bad Batch and all that and Clone Wars. It's like OG Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader shuttle. So that was kind of funny. But yeah, I didn't even think about the fish thing, but that is funny.
That is.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I first saw it. But that going away is shuttle. Definitely is like, dang, it's spec for spec a shuttle.
Yeah, for a moment when they flew into that planet and she does that,
Oh my gosh, he shuts it all off.
and she just shuts everything off and dives. I was like,
She goes, "They won't be able
Huh.
to track
I wonder if
this."
she learned that from Hondo Onaka.
Right,
but
right.
like
wait,
that
let's
part,
talk about the planet though. Let's talk about the planet. So they're gonna go to planet Erebus, right? And Erebus,
Mhm.
that's the first time we hear of this planet. And so Erebus is I looked that up too, and it's either the darkness of the underworld or to the underworld itself, or the subterranean region where the souls of the dead travel through to reach Hades. So it's not a very inviting planet name if
no,
it's called Erebus. So I really like that a lot.
very desolate. Definitely a planet that the Imperials have mined to no end. Obviously, we see the same the Juggernaut vehicle that was used in Mandalorian season 2.
It gave me those vibes a lot.
Mm-hmm. Had a
Yeah, the whole-
bridge that they had to go over.
whole
Imperial
thing
base.
reminds me of that episode.
Did
Yeah.
they go back to that planet? But no, it's just another one like it. It's the Empire.
Yeah, it's not the same planet because
It's the Empire's MO though.
because the planet in Mando would have been like years after. It's like 5 years after Return of the
Right.
Jedi. This is still
And that one still
Brand
had
New
trees.
Hope.
So it was in the process of being
and
mined.
indigenous,
Yeah.
people. We didn't see
Well,
anything.
maybe
here
the Empire's
but the
fixing
Empire.
the planet. Maybe they're not destroying it. Maybe that's what all the
Okay.
prisoners are there.
Oh,
They're planting
oh, yeah.
trees.
Yeah, that's what they did with Elam
Sure.
too. That's
Just
what they did with
planting
Elam
trees.
too, Jonathan. Hey, you know what?
They fixed it.
let's fix
Right.
this and
It's
turn
the
the planet
Green
into a
Initiative.
giant Death Star.
It's the Green Empire, the Green Initiative. So they put on the PR. This is what we do
Yeah.
for the Empire.
So we get to Erebus, and then Rampart is shown working and not get along with any of the fellow inmates. He's still as pompous as ever, and he
Oh
feels he's
yeah,
above everybody
yeah.
else. And he's so mean to that poor Ugnaught, and he doesn't even speak his language. It's just so rude to him. So he still thinks he's better than everyone. So Fee she lets the boys know that she called in a favor to get them here, and it cost her a pretty penny. Um, but she's showing them on the map an overview of the labor camp, and they come up with their plan of how they're going to get in there. The batch is worried about getting past the ships in orbit. That's when she does that maneuver where she turns off the engines and they just free fall to the planet. And right before they crash, she starts everything back up, which was pretty cool. I liked it a lot. Um, they do find Rampart, but he's about to be transported from the mine back to the prison, which means that they need to grab him while he's en route. And then Wrecker's like, "Oh, take out a turbo tank? Now you're talking." He's super excited, right? Because that's what he likes to do. And this is a HAVW A6 Juggernaut, which is that vehicle, commonly called a Juggernaut, or Clone Turbo Tank, or Turbo Tank, that first appeared in Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, but was also featured heavily in the Clone Wars animated series. So that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
And I have that. I bought that toy too. Oh, I should have had it ready to show, but I have that vehicle. It's a
Model,
nice
Mike.
one.
You bought the model.
No, it's a toy.
No.
It's a toy. I play with it. It's a toy because the wheels move and everything. It's super
You
cool.
play with a lot of things, Mike. Oh, never mind. I shouldn't have said that.
Don't bring up the popcorn.
Man, have you watched that thing yet?
Why? It's like those iron cast pans. You can't wash them.
I don't know what to say to this.
So they infiltrate to the bottom, Plan 55, which Wrecker and Crosshair are like, "Oh, we're gonna do Plan 55," which is pretty cool because remember Omega had to memorize all the plans, tech meters, and everything. So that it's nice. I like that little touch. Wrecker and Crosshair find Rampart, and he of course remembers Crosshair. And then to distract the guards, they release all the prisoners, right? So, you're free. That'll distract them, and then we'll be able to take you out. But it doesn't work.
Yeah, it was that condescending CT9904.
Yes. Oh, he remembers him all right. So Rampart agrees to go with them, but only after they get him off planet.
Right.
So the distraction didn't work. The Imperial forces move to stop them from escaping. And Rampart tries to shoot Crosshair when they get bumped, and he drops his gun.
Which is silly. They're
Of
not
course.
escaped yet. It's like, come on, wait till you escape. This was another like, come on, man, wait till you escape.
Yeah,
then
it was-
you try and betray him. But you're
Right.
in the
was
middle
funny.
of escape. It's like, come on, man.
So then,
But without hesitation, Crosshair nailed the gun right out of his.
Oh
out of his
yeah,
hand.
he's still a
So
sharpshooter.
let's don't
It's
lose
pretty
sight
point
here.
blank.
Like
I
he
don't
just
think he's a sharpshooter.
He shot the weapon though. He didn't shoot his hand. He shot the weapon
right,
just to let him know. Look,
and it wasn't he was looking down the scope. He hip shot that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Hunter calls for Fee, but the comms are jammed. So they continue racing through the canyon as the ledge narrows.
Yeah.
This is a great scene. Reminded me a lot of was it Solo when they had the train heist?
Yeah.
Gave me those Solo vibes.
It gave me that, and then it also gave me the same like Mandalorian vibes when the indigenous people, the raiders and stuff, were trying to raid the Juggernaut that Migs and Din were on. So
right.
But yeah, but yes, definitely it gave me those, but it also gave me vibes from Rebels in that 2-part Mandalore thing where they're going to rescue Sabine's dad from the prison transport. It kind of reminded me of that too, because it was along a valley with a ledge and all that. So, but yeah, it was definitely Solo vibes. It gave me Rebels vibes. It gave me Mandalorian vibes. Like that was a cool scene.
Also, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade vibes.
Oh yeah, you could take definitely, for sure.
Yeah, and it even has a trooper getting squished by the walls. So that was really cool.
That was funny. Yeah,
that was. And then right before the tank falls off the ledge, Fee flies in to rescue them. Right,
Right.
No,
And I want to talk about that for a second because this is what the show is doing to me. I don't know if it's doing it to you too, but it's doing it to me.
were you on edge?
Started with the last episode when Hunter was dangling out of a ship 1,000 feet above the surface, and then sniper shot, boom. I'm like, oh, are we gonna lose Hunter? No,
Mhm.
he survives. That would get dangled like, oh, is this Wrecker's time? Oh,
Record
nope.
gets exploded. Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like every time there's like this dire situation and there's somebody left in a position of peril, I'm now going, is this their moment?
Me too.
Is this their
Super
moment?
stressful. Yes.
I'm
Damn
like,
you, bad batch.
yeah.
I'm waiting for them to die.
I did kind of think that, but then I was like, they're not going to die until they see Omega again. And there's going to be some kind of sacrifice. I think some die, but
Yeah,
not until that.
I
Yeah.
agree. I do
Story-wise, they're
agree,
gonna
but it
have to
still doesn't
spin.
help.
I know.
Yeah.
I actually thought
Still
the same
doesn't
thing.
help.
When he
I
was like,
on
they're not
edge.
going to kill him now, are they? Like, no, that doesn't make story-wise. He needs to do a sacrifice for Omega or something like that. But I did think of that for a second.
Yeah.
So that's good that they're doing
Yeah,
that to us. You want to
it's-
think that. You don't want to
It's
think,
High
oh,
Republic vibes. It's High Republic vibes. Okay.
Yes.
no,
You're killing
High
all these
Republic is-
Jedi. I love every
High
single
Republic-
character, and then you're like, loading great story.
High-
See ya.
High Republic kills just for no reason at all. This show kills for an actual reason, like a sacrifice.
No, I
High
get
Republic
it.
kills.
But it's
Oh,
like
you showed up,
nobody's safe. Nobody's safe right now.
Nobody's safe.
Nobody's
Yeah.
safe.
They would
That's
half
why
would have been dead already.
Well, that's why I always check the credits to see if Kevin Scott wrote any of the
Oh my
any of the
God.
episodes.
Because then we're done. We're definitely done for. So Rampart does tell them that that no one actually knows the coordinates to Tantus, but he might know how to get around it, right? And I don't know if I believe him.
Anyone quite well, I don't think that's true because doesn't you see Shadow Clone or Clone X, whatever, take Omega to Tantus?
Mhm.
So I don't quite
Yes.
understand. How could you? I'm trying to wrap my head around what kind of
So here's
process
my take on
technology
that.
could get you to a planet without knowing where you're going.
Here's my take on it. So if you've ever, had one of those like TomToms or Garmin like GPSs, right? You plug in where you're going, and then you go. It's just the same as plugging in coordinates into a Navi computer, right?
You mean an iPhone?
Okay. I'm using this as an example because it's just a GPS.
Yeah.
You plug in your things, you go there, but then when you want to go home, you hit a button saying "Go home," and it automatically reroutes. That's what I think is installed on some of those Navi computers.
Mhm.
Is literally boom, and it
A
just
home
sends
button.
them there without even having the coordinates that they can memorize because it's so secretive. It's a program within the navigation computer, so where
Just
they
like
just hit a button.
like my Tesla self drive when I press go home, and it just brings me home.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I was thinking too? It might be like Exegol, where the only way you can get there is by having because the
Like a
coordinates might,
wayfinder.
like a wayfinder, because the coordinates might change every time depending on what happens in space. Because remember, Exegol, you can't just get coordinates and get there.
Right.
You have to know how to navigate to it, and you need a wayfinder to be able to do that.
That's
So
very
it could be
possible
something
too.
similar. Because you know what, the Emperor, he knew of Exegol. So I'm thinking if he wanted to hide Tantus because it was so important, he probably would find another planet like that. And we've had planets like this, like Planet X in the High Republic books, right?
Yeah,
Where you
that's
can't
true.
easily find it. So I think
Yeah.
there are certain planets that are hidden, but there's a secret way to get there. So you don't actually know. You can't just give coordinates. It could be like in Harry Potter, how the walls move, right? The stairs are always moving.
It's been deleted from the Jedi database.
No, I think it's beyond that. I think it's beyond that because that.
That's
erased.
definitely there too. I mean, if you delete
Yeah.
Camino, you're gonna definitely.
Yeah.
But I think by Attack of the Clones, Palpatine had so much influence anyway that this planet was probably never even mentioned in the Jedi archives, so there would be no record of it.
It would have been hidden, yeah, for sure. Just like Exegol wasn't in there either.
Once he was the Chancellor, that's when he had full control over what things were going in obviously the plan was in motion a long time ago. So
Yeah. And did you guys get the new book, The Living Force?
no, I'm gonna go get it
I'm on chapter
tomorrow.
10. I'm on chapter 10, and it's interesting because it connects to this. Because in this one, it's before episode 1, and Palpatine's
Mm-hmm.
all up in Valorum's business. He's like
Mm-hmm.
Valorum's assistant. He's like such a backstabber. So I love it because it's giving us so much information of how he was so involved, pretending to be Valorum's best friend, to help him with everything because he was so influential. And Valorum has him there like a trusted friend. And meanwhile, we know, of course, that Palpatine's
He
no
was
friend.
undermining them the whole time.
Of course, he's just like
Yeah.
manipulating him. It's awful, but
Yeah.
it's so good. So I'm having a really good time reading that. And then I have the audiobook too because I like to read it and listen to it because Mark Thompson is just a master.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's true too.
You know what? I'm listening to it and I swear it sounds like it's 10 different people doing
Yeah,
the
he's
voice
good.
acting, and it's Mark.
He's the best.
Absolutely, hands down the best. So props to you, Mark Thompson. You're the best. You're that's your force power. So anyway, back to episode 12. We're back on Tantus, and Emery gets the confirmation that Omega's blood does work for the M count replication, just as Hemlock reappears in the lab. So Hemlock takes Omega to the vault while he explains that all the experiments they are conducting are trying to replicate M counts. And
Right.
everything's failed until they combined her sample with one of the M count specimens. So he takes her into the vault, and there's guards everywhere. That's where we have those, laser beams, and they have to go through. It's a lot of
Yep. A lot of
protection,
security.
a lot of security. And then she sees the children in the vault, and he tells her this is now her new home. So she's going to be under super, super scrutiny. There's no way she can get out with
Right.
all of that guarding her in.
Right.
Hemlock tells her that they're the rest of the puzzle. She asks, "Who are they?" And I think that when
And then he
Omega,
goes, "This is your new home," and
these are there. But I think that Omega, when she sees the other children, because her intent was, I need to rescue the other clones, right? But now I think she's
it's
not
going to
going
be
to
a much bigger thing
behind.
now.
Yeah, she's got a big picture idea of what she's gonna save everybody, including Emery too. She wants to save Emery, everyone.
I think
All the
that's a
clones.
stretch. I think there's going to be a glorious attempt. But
I think
I don't know.
Emery might be the one that gets rid of Tantus, and along with herself, sacrifices herself and blows up Tantus because we don't hear Tantus anymore. So
No.
I think the kids get off, but I think Emery and Tantus are.
Yeah.
I think it actually is Nalase, but that's just me.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh yeah, Nalase is more likely to do it, but I think Nalase and
Because if
Emery,
Nalase lives, then that means clones are still very much possible because they are the expert cloners.
but
Nalase has
Emery
to.
might help Nalase.
Well,
escape
I
and do
don't
that
disagree with
sacrifice.
that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at
She
all.
might be the one that helps her get out. Yeah.
Or I think it's a bad idea. What I thought was it's a bad idea to put Omega here with these force sensitive children because she's going to figure out with them. She's going to be able to mastermind a plan and using their abilities to be able to get all of them out.
Oh well, yeah.
Because
Why
Omega
not?
is super clever, and if
why
they
not?
have force abilities,
Yes.
I mean she can organize them because they just don't have. Just because you have the skills doesn't mean that you can lead.
I don't think they know she's that talented.
They don't need to know. She's going to
Well,
coordinate.
you said a bad
Hey,
idea.
let's do this.
So yeah, I don't think they think it's just a child.
Well, it's a
Whoever's
bad
like-
idea for the Empire to do it. It's not a bad idea for us as viewers to see it happen.
Yeah.
So
So if she were to like have a blood transfusion with one of the kids, she would get force powers, right? Apparently
No,
that's what
I'll be right
they
back.
would be able to clone her. They would be able to clone that force sensitive child.
Oh,
So
they
using
couldn't.
her blood.
They couldn't add their blood to her, and she would get the
No.
force.
No, it's a binder for a clone. They can create a clone, so they
I
can clone one of those high M count children to make a clone of them that also has a high M count. But they need Omega's blood, which has the binder in it, to be able to clone those children. It's not a transfer of M count; it's a cloning of.
So they're gonna clone someone with M count, and then as they're being cloned, they're gonna add a little bit of Omega's binder to it.
Well, I think the little bit of Omega's binder was for a little bit of blood, but for a whole person of a binder, they need a whole person of Omega's blood.
Well, I don't. When they clone it, it probably is an embryo, right? They don't clone a full being.
Oh, that's true. You're right. You're
Yeah.
right. They get
I don't
samples.
know.
They make lots of clones. Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, well, I guess we'll find out. We're just speculating after this.
We are speculating, but that does bring us to the end of this episode, and Bryce just hopped off just as we finished. And you want to wait for him, John?
No, let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. So, all in all, episode
Well,
12.
what are your final thoughts, Mike?
Final thoughts. I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was really good. I think that this season is building up really strongly. It's getting momentum. The last few episodes were really strong. This one I think is a strong episode as well. I am really looking forward to the remaining 3 episodes because it's going to come fast and furious.
Is it 3 or 4?
It's only 3 because it goes up to 15.
Yeah, we only got an hour left of Bad Batch.
Yeah. I think it's going to be fast and
Do
furious.
we have a double episode on a day though?
I think it might be longer, but it's still only 3. It only goes up to 15.
Oh, that was 16.
No, 13, 14,
Alright.
and 15 is the last one. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And
So
yeah, because there's Into the Beach, Flash Strike, and the last one is The Cavalry Has Arrived. That's episode 15. So Into the Breach is next, followed by Flash Strike, and then The Cavalry Has Arrived.
do you think there's any possibility this is really just building up a spin-off show?
No.
It's like the Clone Wars, the Clone War, and this is where the clones get wiped out versus the. Because honestly, 3 episodes doesn't seem like a lot to wrap all this up. It's
The
gonna
last
be
one's not going to
fast
be a normal
and furious.
runtime. It's got to be longer.
Yeah,
It might just be a
fast and
double
furious.
episode. It could be like a 45, 50-minute long episode.
Yeah,
I was looking at the ratings of all the episodes, and just so you know, like there's pretty much 3 directors. There's Saul Ruiz, Nate Villanueva, and Stuart Lee. And they've been alternating for this season. So Saul Ruiz directed the first episode, Confined, followed by Nate Villanueva, who directed Paths Unknown, and then Stuart Lee did Shadows of Tantus. And the first episode was the highest rated in IMDb. It got a rating of 9 out of 10. And then Nate's was 7.3, and Stuart Lee's was 8.6. And then Saul's next episode, which was a different approach, was 7.9, followed by Nate Villanueva's The Return at 7.7, and then Stuart Lee with Infiltration, 8.2. Followed by Saul Ruiz again, 8.5 with Extraction, which was a great episode. Nate Villanueva, 7.1 for Bad Territory, followed by Stuart Lee at 8.0 for The Harbinger. Then Saul Ruiz got 8.2 with Identity Crisis, followed by Nate Villanueva's Point of No Return, 8.6. So I saw a pattern of that they're building up. They're getting stronger. The episodes are getting stronger. So
oh yeah, I expect these last 3 to be something else, man.
because Stuart Lee's pretty solid, he pretty much has the highest average of all the directors in terms of the ratings. Or he's
Batting
solid.
average.
Yeah, I mean they're all pretty good. They're all around 8. You know.
No, there hasn't been an episode that I haven't liked. I like this one a lot because of good character development from Crosshair.
Mhm.
Omega obviously is back in a place, and now she's in a different part of the place with more sensitive kids that she's going to figure out were Jedi.
Now, this season, as compared to seasons 1 and 2, is more highly rated. So I think this is absolutely the best season of the 3.
Well, the music, I tell you, man, like the music just adds.
Oh, the music!
Did
you guys notice? Did you notice the beginning of this episode was the first one? I think it's the only one that the music changes at the beginning. Did you notice that?
Mm-mm.
It was a different music than what they normally do for their episodes. So watch it and compare it. I think this is the only one that does that. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? The music definitely shifted. I'm like, what just happened? So
No, I didn't catch
think
that.
they're trying to convey we're already into it. It like sometimes it's a new episode. This was like we're into this. Like, yeah, there's no
but notice
there's
they've
no
all had
time
the
in
same
between.
type of music, the same
Yeah.
same type of little fanfare at the beginning of each episode, and this one was different from all the rest.
Hmm.
So that was
Hmm.
something new. I'm like, wow.
Matter of
Something
fact, I actually, now that I think about it, I need to go buy Volume 1 on Apple Music.
So
nice.
I
Final
liked the
thoughts?
episode.
Yep.
I liked the episode. It seemed a little short, but I still liked it. It was cool to see Edmund back. If you guys don't know who that is, that's actually Rampart's first name, Edmund. It was on Wikipedia. I thought that was great. So I'm gonna just call him Edmund. It's cool
Nothing
to see
wrong with that.
Edmund back. So I was really happy for
Old
that.
Edmund. He seems
It's
like
kind
an Edmund.
of so
Edmund was a traitor in the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe too.
yeah.
Yep.
So
He
makes
was the
sense.
bad brother.
So
Uh-huh.
I'm interested to see if he's just going to be help them and then he's gone, or if he's going to help them really
Betray
and try
them.
and betray them and get back in the favor, or if he's going to be more of a trying to join the rebel, kind of like Callus did. Well, so I'm kind of interested. They definitely made him. When you're an Imperial who turns, you get furry. He's got all his fur going on. So
I like
Callus
the
would
fur.
be a
I
lot
I
like
of
the
think
fur.
I think because he is power hungry that he will do whatever it takes once he's gone, gives them whatever they need because he probably wants to get to Tantus himself because he feels that he's still useful.
yeah.
And maybe
Yeah,
he
so
thinks if I can turn in the Clone Force 99, they might reinstate me.
And he'll
'Cause I
be in their
captured
favor
these guys.
again.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's definitely the way I think he thinks. Yeah.
And so his motivation is interesting. It could be revenge, could be revenge against anyone. So we really want to
Right.
see what his motivation is. And I think we'll find out pretty quickly, honestly.
Yeah,
I don't think
I
we're
agree.
going to wait. And
I think we'll
I think
find
this
out in the
episode
next 3
is his
episodes.
last episode. I think we'll know
Oh,
the next
yeah.
episode.
Bryce, final thoughts?
I really enjoyed the episode. I did. Like I got some really good vibes. I guess I thought there were 4 episodes left. For some reason, I thought there were 16. But now it kind of makes sense. Her being back. Obviously, one of the episodes is just going to be really. I think we're going to have Omega and an Omega centric episode probably the next week. And what we see is, maybe a little bit of Bad Batch doing what they do with Rampart, and then the next episode probably even more Omega, and this is where we'll see Bad Batch meet up with Rex and and Echo and all that, and try to formulate a plan. And 15th episode, which I would imagine is going to be a longer episode, is
The cavalry has arrived. That's going to be all of them together, right?
I would imagine.
The
The
cavalry.
only other take I would say is if somehow they. The only other thing I could think of is that Rampart, they go to Tantus with Rampart. Rampart turns them in, and the cavalry arrived as actually Tech and Rex and all of them coming to rescue them because they got the coordinates. They were probably supposed to meet. They didn't meet because Bad Batch is already captured, and they go to rescue. I don't know. I mean,
Well, you heard it here first, folks. If that's what happens, Bryce called it. And you know what? Seasons 1 and 2 did have 16 episodes each.
yeah, that's why I just assumed it was 16. I never really
Interesting
looked at
this
the
is only
count.
15.
So
Yeah.
which leads me to believe that the 15th episode is bigger, and we're not even getting that much of a break before Tales of the Empire.
Right.
Well, Tales of the Empire is all at once, right? They just released it all at one day, right?
Right. But they're shorts. So they're
Yeah.
not long
Yeah.
episodes. Yeah.
But
Still
Sophie. Bear
I'll watch
Sophie.
it in a
That's all
day
I'm
or
gonna
two.
say. Bear Sophie.
So
Morgan
thank you
Elsbeth.
for joining us, everyone, and be sure to follow us on the.
Be sure to follow us on YouTube at Virtual Cantina Network, on Instagram at virtual.cantina network, on X, Twitter at Cantina Virtual, on Threads at virtual.cantina network, on Hive at Virtual Cantina, and TikTok at Virtual Cantina. And as always, be sure to head on over to Facebook and like our Star Wars Celebration Japan 2025 page. Now that we
Shout
have
out to our
tickets,
partner sites, the Star Wars Book Nerds and Star Wars Comic Book Club.
And
be
please
sure you're
like
following
and
us.
comment. Please, we really appreciate
Mike loves
those.
responding,
I love
even when I comment and let Mike respond. So
I
that
just get my popcorn bucket and start replying to all the comments, eating my popcorn.
end recording, end recording.
Thank you for watching, and may the force be with you.
Live long
May
and
the force be
prosper.
prosper.